Okay, so this is part 2. Did I change the video quality? No, it didn't. Say what? 1920. 1080. Apply. Okay, well, hopefully that works. Alright. Well, anyways, HWL is here. Let's see. Will I host or should he? I can host. Alright. Cool. Verse. Ulrich Wall. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and send the invite. I also just noticed that when you stream to YouTube, people, it's jankier than Twitch restarting the stream. It breaks many things, so probably lost a bunch of viewers, but whatever, that's fine. Alright, now Ulrich Wall, you're O and O. It's still 720. What? No. No, why is it because I'm not a Twitch partner or something? Ah, come on. Alright, well, I'll look it up, but for now we have a match against Ulrich Wall to play. Let's see, YouTube stream set to 720. Okay, Google, help me. Choose live encoder settings. Whatever. Alright, well, we'll play, yeah, it's same for you. Oh my goodness, alright, so he's picked Altdorf Outskirts. An interesting map, we haven't played on this one yet. YouTube, how to stream 1080. Stream Labs OBS. Man, and here I thought I fixed it all. Darn it. I'll need to look into it. Alright, what's he playing? It's Altdorf Outskirts. No factions have been chosen yet. So we continue to wait. Still looks pretty good. Alright. I guess 720 is serviceable. Alright. Yeah, we're just waiting for him to pick factions. Should be pretty quick. Now, if the tournament is going to end, this is likely where I'm gonna lose. It's not crystal clear, but it's good enough. Not to your keen dwarven eyes. Yeah. It's rough. It's rough. No, we want to bring the best quality for to our viewers here. And you know, 720p, it's only just barely good enough. Now, Wood Elves. He didn't ban Bretonia. I'll take it. Now, I could go for Greenskins instead. But Bretonia is good enough, or I think I should be okay. This is also a matchup where fairly well practiced in. The map isn't super huge. He did, yeah, he banned Dwarves and Tomb Kings. So Ulrich Wall, he wants to play against Bretonia here. What a mad lad. Let's see, where is it? Bretonia versus Wood Elves. Where is it? Where's my build? Yeah, so this is sort of the same situation as we had last time. You just need to make sure that you can deal with all the forms of Wood Elf play. And then you're good to go. Boxes can be pretty scary, of course, but I think I'm still in a fairly decent position here. Ulrich Wall is ready. I guess I am too. So let's ready up and dive right on into it. Beastmen are also good here, yeah. Bretonia just happens to be my most practiced matchup. So yeah, here's the plan. I'm gonna be playing the Bretonians up against the Wood Elves. I need to make sure that my archers stay alive, as they are the bane to the Wood Elves, and I need to make sure that I take the correct cavalry engagements. Gotta make sure I don't get kited out, and have to make sure that rushes don't run over me. But I have quite a few tools at my disposal. Do well here. So we'll just see if Ulrich Wall has what it takes. Now, when it comes to very high tier players like this, they can kite out Bretonia sometimes if they play it out carefully enough. So I'm still gonna have to play really hard to make sure I actually win out this match. Against many other people, I feel okay running into this fight, but this one's gonna be a bit sketchy. I can feel it. Now, the build of Ulrich Wall is fairly large. Expecting to see not that much cavalry. Actually, it could really go either way, but I think a full-on box is probably one of the less likely options that I'll be seeing here. As for a rush, I guess that's a possibility, but not particularly scary. Let's see what else. Honestly, I'm not too sure. We'll have to see what build what build Ulrich Wall decides to bring out before we actually dive in. One minor buff that I did get is that Orion is nerfed and Dreicha, two lords that are really good, or that were really good in this matchup, but now perform worse than they used to. So the hope is I'll be able to press that advantage and get out a win. Fingers crossed, though. Fingers crossed it all goes okay. I'm also going to continue playing around with the stream settings to see if I can change the quality of it, but I'm not sure where. So if I look at my video output, it says that it's 1920 by 1080, but it's a lie. It's a lie. It's still 720. All right, whatever. Whatever, we have a match to play. He's ready. So let's go. Match number 1 against Ulrich Wall. Very formidable opponent. And I'm running the same build as I did last time. We have, let's see, a fairly infantry heavy build here for Ulrich Wall with a bunch of Zoats. A Spellweaver of high magic. He's going to be throwing down Tempests on top of my Paladins. A Tempest, pretty scary ability. Yep, indeed. It's going to be sniping out my guys real good. Now, it looks like there's probably going to be a few skirmishers in here too. And yeah, I just need to get my archers into position to fire away. If I can pull that off, then I'll be okay. The Paladins just have to make sure that they don't clump up. And I need to make sure that archer fire doesn't murder absolutely everything that I have. Here we go. The archers have revealed themselves. They're all over here. And to a couple shots, fly in towards the Fey Enchantress, but I can now move in with my own archers and just dive in directly on top of them. The Paladins are gonna fly in. One onto the Spellweaver, the other one onto the archers. I'll cycle charge the infantry, and we'll see how this goes. It's a little bit of a messy engagement, I have to admit. And the Paladins, now that they're landed, are in a bit of a safer position. In fact, the Tempest actually misses entirely, which is very good for me. And it's just whether or not I can kill off these Zoats. Now, Zoats can be quite tanky. You have to be a bit careful with them. You got to make sure that you're landing charges on top of them. Otherwise, it's going to be a really rough time. But as long as they don't have their armor buff, they are actually fairly easy to shut down. And now that my archers are up, they can actually counter these Deepwood Scouts fairly well. I've routed off quite a bit of Wood Elf infantry too. And now, with the Spellweaver of high magic actually a little bit out of position, I'm gonna surround her with some knights and then use my paladins to actually pin her down. My archers are doing a great job versus all of the, basically everything here. And I have managed to rout off the Zotes with some pretty vicious counter charges from my cavalry. So that's all pretty good so far. I'll use the cavalry to finish off the rest of the Zotes and mostly just ignore the Deepwood Scouts right now, as they're not especially, it's not especially important that I kill them off. They're actually a little bit of a non-threat in the current situation. And more so, I just need to protect my archers to win out the day here. So that's going to be the plan. Spellweaver of High Magic now has to run away from the Paladin for quite some time. He's going to turn around and instead punish the Deepwood Scouts, I think. I need to make sure that I'm constantly keeping up with the cycle charges. A Tempest does land, but oh my goodness, very rough for Ulrich Wall. The Paladin lands again before the Tempest actually connects. It does connect for a split second, but not nearly enough here for the poor Wood Elves. And now it's just simply diving in onto these Deepwood Scouts. Now, one of the Paladins, he is getting surrounded by Zotes. I throw in some physical resist, a bit of a misplay because of it's a bit of a misplay because the Zotes do magic damage, I think. So I'll actually be losing a Paladin here, but I still have so much cavalry. I'm not super worried about this situation. The Paladin will do well fighting the Deepwood Scouts in the forest too, as the forest does give him a bit of cover in some situations if I'm careful enough. And of course I still have many archers of my own to kill off all these Zotes. My knights are going to split and chase towards the Deepwood Scouts. My archers will finish off the Zotes, and with the help of the Fey Enchantress, I think the game should be mine. Let's go ahead and just bring in some rallying units. The Zotes are nearly routed off at this point. Fey Enchantress still lives. Even the Paladin comes back. And that's gonna be game number 1. Working out pretty well in my favor. The Zotes, they did pretty well in the early game, but in the end, just the constant charges from the Knights will break them apart pretty quickly. The Deepwood Scouts without enough armor piercing do really badly up against so much cavalry. And in this case, there wasn't much to really kill off the archers. So that's game. GG. And now I'm going to pick Vampire Ghost and a huge bonus. Let's see, where are they? The Wood Elves have been played, which means that I get to have an extra ban. A free ban all to myself. And I think I'll probably ban the High Elves, as it is Ulrich Wall's, well, yeah, I'll ban High Elves. I'll go for an Empire game against some VP ban Dwarves and High Elves. On frag. Now, I'm expecting Empire from him. That is one of his main factions. The question is, will he be able to beat my coast with Empire? I think he's done it before, so it'll be a fun rematch, but the map at the very least is to my advantage. The alternative would have been to ban Empire and leave High Elves open, but I feel like his High Elf play would be good enough to really cause me some problems if I wasn't careful. Oh, but it's a Vampire Counts pick instead. Now that is interesting. Vampire Counts, of course, pretty scary against Coast. They have a lot of they have a huge infantry advantage. Yeah, they have a huge infantry advantage, while Vampire Coast more so relies on their ranged play to do well. And against the Counts, having a lot of ranged firepower can work out pretty badly. The Vampire Counts, you know, they have many tools to shut down ranged. Black coaches, summons, just the whole shebang. Which is why I've gone for this newer style of build that relies heavily on single entities to do well. and with just a really long line of zombies to hold for forever, so that cycle charges abound, we'll be able to save the day. I have tons of bombers also, which are great against the vampire counts if they do clump up. And as long as I can nail a few scab scrats too, I think I'll be in a decent position. Basically everything wants to be on guard mode here, except for these terror geists. And that's basically it. It's a very simple build. Now, the thing about the terror geists is that they are really good at killing, whoopsie daisies, at killing single entities. Specifically vampire counts lords in the sky. In this case, it's just a terror geist, and the lord is the Red Duke. So with the two gunnery wights on the ground, the terror geists are pretty threatening. And yeah, they should be able to kill off the Red Duke and a terror geist. It'll be a bit of a close battle, but as long as they can distract for long enough, it should be fine. Plus the gunnery wight support is it's going to be pretty vicious here. I clearly like double gunnery wights. They're amazing. One of the best single entity units in the game for sure. This build too is really good against two black coaches, as in the late game the terror geists will be able to kill them. Plus the gunnery wights with their mass are really nice against them too. So I'm feeling okay. Now first things first, terror geists will be moving out, sniping out the Felbats. Gunnery wights sniping at the terror geist, doing as much damage as they can. This this White King, he's looking for a scab scrat. I'm moving my infantry to sort of make that as difficult as possible. And we're seeing the Red Duke now. He's flying on in. He's throwing down a zombie summon to start off onto my bombers. And I shouldn't be taking too much damage there, I think. As for the Red Duke, I'll be sending in my two terror geists to try and snipe him out. But it looks like he just wants to disengage instead. Gunnery wights will be poking away at him, doing a lot of damage. And I don't want to clump up my troops, as there is a risk of getting a lot of damage in. Now he does hurt my bombers quite a bit. That zombie summon was actually quite vicious, but I've done similar damage to the Red Duke. He's actually had a very rough time getting shot at by the gunnery wights the whole game. So I feel pretty nice about that. Now the bombers, they're going to be focusing down these crypt ghouls. The double terror geists will do well against the black coaches, and I'm saving my scab scraths for these banshees. Definitely don't want them doing too much damage. The gunnery wights still doing absolutely amazing damage versus the Red Duke. I give them extra powder to make them even scarier, and now the terror geists are going to be fighting against each other. That should go pretty well in my favor because I do have the two gunnery wights on the ground, and I have a Helm of Discord that I can throw down. That should help out a lot in this fight, and I have a good position for a breath attack also. So with all those factors in play, we'll see if my plan goes well enough. Double scab scrath onto these Karen wraiths will melt them. And there we go, instantly killing both of them. My two terror geists are doing great. And now I'm going to summon some pistol mobs to help in this fight. The terror geists, absolutely amazing here. They will be holding for a while. And the pistol mob, you know, they can shoot at the Red Duke too. Gunnery wights will be pressuring him. And if I can win this single entity fight, then I am good to go. By a long shot. So that's why I'm focusing so hard on actually winning it. Let's see here. Red Duke does re-engage. And I'm going to throw down a heal to try and pick up these terror geists a tiny bit. Let's see here. As for the enemy terror geist, let's go ahead and send in my own to continue fighting it. Gunnery wights just supplying each other with ammunition. And despite the Felbats in here, I'm not especially worried. On the ground, we have my gunnery wights and my lord. They're doing okay. Nothing too crazy. They need to be sniping out single entities as much as they can. But I'm just really focusing on having enough, having my two terror geists alive by the late game. This one does come in for the charge. That helps the vampire counts quite a bit. And the gunnery wight is going to be a little bit... No, the White King. He's going to be a tiny bit scary. as he does have what's it? Yeah, the Gunnery White. No, the White King. He has Scab Scraths. He's a little bit of a threat, but at least the Red Duke is basically no more. This guy, he's getting punished pretty hard by my crabs. Just really using my single entities here to do well, and I still have 3 breath attacks, which should work out really well too. Now the Lord, he's going to be eating 2 breath attacks from my Terrorgeists and a charge, and with another charge from my second Terrorgeist, I should be able to snipe out one of these single entities here. My 2 White Kings with another double Scab Scrath should be able to kill off most of the infantry here, and now I need to evacuate with these 2 Terrorgeists. If they can take off and use their breath attacks, that would be huge. So let's see if I can do that. Looks like they do take off. One of them has their breath attack ready. I'll be able to pressure the Lords here with the vampire counts, but one of my Gunnery Whites is about to die. He needs healing stat, and it looks like yeah, with the heal he will be able to make it out alive. I'm now chasing down the Flying Lords for the vampire counts, and I'm looking to see if this guy lands. He does, which means that it's time to throw down the breath attack to finish him off. Come on, come on, get that breath attack in. Come on, yes, there we go. A very big breath attack gets that Terrorgeist down very low, and now it's just chasing off the Red Duke. Another breath attack coming on in will finish off the Black Coach. My Lord is still doing okay, but it looks like we will be losing one of the Gunnery Whites, unfortunately. Still though, I have zombies at the ready, and this Terrorgeist, it should be going down, but it's just barely holding. The Black Coach's cycle charging too are going to be a bit scary, but I do still have the Terrorgeist, which is going to be playing a pretty big part here as we enter the late game scenario. Black Coaches will be cycle charging my Gunnery White. I definitely don't want that to be happening too much, so let's go ahead and position and charge one of them, which should be able to finish that guy off. The Red Duke will be running away from this one Terrorgeist, so he's going to be occupied for a while. He actually does feint a land, but I'm not too worried about that. And with a couple debuffs too, most of these guys will be falling. I have another zombie summon, and wow, look at that. The vampire counts just straight up hit army losses. Wow, okay, GG. A very unexpected army losses, but I did still have 2 full HP Terrorgeists, and that is huge for the balance of power. The real winners of this game though were these Gunnery Whites. They both got combined about 5,000 damage value, and same with the double Terrorgeist, which is basically all of the money for the vampire accounts. Their constant picking away at the air game means that this is a vicious air build. It's really difficult to deal with if you don't have the right tools, and in this case the air force for the vampire counts just was not enough. Sweet. And hey, look at that, we got a subscriber too. Welcome. We've defeated Ulrich Wall in a 2-0 victory too. That is nothing to be scoffed at for sure. And yeah, now we're in the semifinals, guys. Hoo-hoo. Will I make it to the finals? Will I qualify for another My Son HW tournament? Maybe. You think the Von Karstein Vampire Lord is the best Coast vs VP? He can really help in the air. Yeah. Although usually they want better lords for other things, so it's a bit of a risk to take them. Vampire counts, they won't always go for that. But yeah, this is my working build against the counts right now. The Gunnery Whites hit for over 300 damage every shot. Or they hit for like 200 damage every shot. Just think about that. In just like 5 volleys, they will cripple like just any large unit. This build works really well against Black Coaches too, and the breath attacks from the Terrorgeists are just vicious. They will win you the ground fight against Graveguard and single entities alike. So pretty good build. And I think now that I have something that sort of works against accounts, I think I'm feeling pretty confident. Actually quite confident now, because I can beat high elves most of the time. And then the last step is just beating greenskins. I'm a little bit less practiced in that matchup, but I think the more I play it, the better it'll be. It feels like there's a lot of potential there that I'm missing out on. Hey, Zamoldier, what's up? How are the applications going? You gotta submit a test project or something? No, what I did was I actually did a live coding session in front of one of their software developers. Yeah, and I had to explain what I was doing while performing a difficult task, which was pretty straightforward, honestly. I've practiced talking while doing things for the better part of a year now, so that was pretty straightforward. The coding problem too was pretty easy, so I secured the final interview, a panel interview against with the team, and if they like me, then I have the job. So yeah. Oh, Migsa, you're in chat. I might have to wait now because you're still waiting for your opponent. Yeah, it looks like it. Oh, so we get to sit back and relax, I guess. Just chilling, really. Oh man, it's been a hot while since I won a tournament. I hope I'm able to win this, but if I have to play a best of 5 against Hadries, I think that's probably the scariest opponent here. Streaming experience coming in handy, yeah. Yeah. What I find is it really increases my confidence, you know? I feel like I can speak a lot more than before. Although in social situations, I'm still a wreck. I am extremely introverted, guys. I'm sure most of you can probably pick up on that. But yes, holding normal conversations, a little bit less of my strong suit. But speaking in a lecture style format, just perfect for me. It's a good time. P-Butter versus Astolfo still not finished yet? Yeah, looks like it. I'm gonna have to wait a hot second before that one is done. Could be a while for sure. But yeah, I'm excited for my coast so far. They've done pretty well this tournament. I did have one loss against greenskins, but up against the old bad matchups, they've been doing pretty good. Many of us can relate to that. I don't know what your delay is, like Iron Fist, so now I have no idea what you're talking about. But cool. So far, the YouTube stream too is looking like should be going pretty okay. It's something I might try it out a couple more times in the future for sure. While streaming speedruns on Twitch, perhaps. You won the tournament. Oh, you won the tournament last time, February 2020. Ooh. Been a long time. Well, hey, this could be your day, man. You just got oh, the introversy. Ah, yes, yeah. I'm sure most people that play games are. I would hazard a guess that they are introverted. Of course, extroverts too. But it's a hobby where you can sit by yourself and be comfortable. It's nice. You played Vampire Coast vs. Lizardmen on the ladder the other day. On Ogram Shard, they had like 5 instances of gunnery mobs walking into melee because of the dumb hill line of sight. Indeed, hills are the strongest counter to Vampire Coast. Gonna tell you guys right now, if you want to really ruin me, don't ban Vampire Coast and play on Ogram Shard, Altdorf outskirts, and just watch as all the gun builds fail. You can actually hard counter any melee rushes because of the gun builds being shut down. It's a really interesting strat, and I think if played well, you can really shut Vampire Coast out. Hey, showtime! Saying, let's go Anticity, my friend. I'm doing pretty good. We have I think, yeah, Migsa. Oh wow, Iskandar is out. Peanut Butter Special, wrecking his face. Yeah, we have the winner between Peanut Butter Special and Migsa to worry about. And then probably Hadries is my scariest opponent here. Other than that though, if I can push to the finals, then that's it. Then we've done it. So fingers crossed I'm able to do that. Oi, but you know, even if I don't, it means I get to play in more tournaments to try and qualify, which is always fun too. So let's see, we're set for about a 30-minute break before the next match. It's gonna be a hot second. I guess in the meantime, I'll set up the timer again, and I might go for like a quick break or something. Let's see. First of all, I need to figure out this timer business though. I'm not sure. It'll take a second. If you guys have any ideas too, I'll gladly take them for something to do during this brutal downtime. Let's see. Yeah, I don't even know how to get this timer set up. What if I do this? I'm just gonna be playing around with this. So the weird thing about Streamlabs OBS is that it totally it doesn't carry over your settings from one it doesn't carry over your settings from one thing to the other. So I actually had to remake a lot of my screens for Twitch. And that's or from Twitch, and that's sort of screwing me over right now. So like I don't have the music or anything, no outro. It's gonna be a little bit weird. For sure. It's a lot of setup, but hopefully it's worth it, you know. I still want to grow the channel and eventually get to a place where I can do it as like a part-time side gig. But looks like that's a ways away. Maybe with Warhammer 3, you know. The hype with that is going to be immense. And there's still a few months to go before we get any more information, unfortunately. At least by the looks of it. What, like on Reddit or somewhere they said like June or something? June before we get something? OBS being silly, yeah. What if I do a text? Can I? Let's see. I just want a countdown, please. Please. Outline. Ah, read from file. Oh my gosh, I was just being silly this whole time. Okay, sweet. So now I just need to find where Streamlabs OBS is actually, or no, where my countdown timer is actually outputting the text to. This is getting real technical and is probably not very exciting. Did you know Warhammer, before coming to this game? I did actually. Warhammer is was one of my, I played tabletop when I was a kid. Way back in the day, back when I had guitar lessons over there. The place that I went to guitar lessons to actually had a games workshop, and that was where that's where I hung out before and after lessons. just like chilling with all like the Warhammer veteran guys that actually knew how to play the game. Oh man, it was so good. I was a fan of Warhammer Fantasy too, specifically, instead of 40k. So when Warhammer Total War came out, that was like a must buy. Although it took me a while to get it because it came out while I was still in university. So I didn't actually have a lot of expendable money. And it wasn't until, I think until Warhammer 2 got released when I finally dived into it fully. All right, now. Here we go. Here we go. All right. I think I finally have the timer set up. It just took a hot second. So where is this outputting to? It's so weird. You know some people stream on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. But that seems like a lot of extra effort. Actually, to monetize my stream on Twitch, I can't stream on YouTube at the same time. As part of the contract, you have to wait a day before you actually can post to YouTube. So it's pretty annoying, but that's how companies go. So yeah, until I actually see that I'm making decent income off of YouTube, I won't be able to stream to Twitch. But maybe one day I'll be able to break the contract and be free to stream as I want. All right. Let's see. At Antici, Art of Explosion is Han. Can you pass it on, please, to whoever wins? Noob for Life versus Hadries. Okay, good to know. Yes, Art of Explosion is, I think he's a Chinese player. That's actually pretty good. Remember to save all replays from the semifinals and the finals and DM them to my son, Herbert Walker. Okay, sweet, can do. Can do. Okay, so just some information going on for the tournament. You know, some people stream, oh yeah. Yeah, it's very annoying, but also understandable at the same time. Yeah, it's not too bad. All right, now I need to set up the countdown. There we go. That's done. And if I start a countdown at 3 minutes, this thing should be showing itself. Whoopsie daisies. All right, there we go. We're good. All right, so the countdown. Will it work? Fingers crossed. It looks like it doesn't. All right. Let's see. It should be countdown.txt. Okay. That was strange. Yeah, it's just not updating as you would expect. Would you look at that? Whoops. Why is Chinese good? No, the player is good. I've played them before. They are I don't know, they're just a good player. Yeah, it was what's it? It was a tournament between the Chinese players and I think like the rest of the world or something, where it was 4 players against 4, and I remember them. I think they won their best of 3 versus me. It's pretty interesting. They have different metas too. It's still fairly close to the metas we see that we see right now, but there's slight differences for sure. I think they popularized the Chaos Halberds before we saw them come into play in our own meta. So yeah, All right, so can I get this thing to work? Let's see if I do this. Done. Oh, that's a big countdown timer. That's a real big countdown timer. Let's shrink that a tiny bit. Slam that down over here. There we go. That's a bit more reasonable. Sweet. Oh my gosh, I'm slowly reclaiming what was lost from my Twitch setup. So I'm expecting who knows anymore. We'll give it a 15-minute countdown while we wait for Peanut Butter Special and Migsa to finish their thing. Boy. And then after this tournament, I can go grab some food. Usually I eat lunch before the tournament starts. And this time around, I am, well, actually, yeah, this time I did manage to eat lunch, but the tournament's gone on long enough where I'm running up against dinner and I'm looking to actually grab some sustenance. Given that the game is a little ways away, I might grab a quick bite. So yeah, you know what? That's gonna be the plan. Just gonna grab a bit of food. I'll be back in 15 minutes. And then we can go ahead and play the games. You've been watching some Chinese streams of their World Cup, and it's very interesting seeing their play styles. Ooh, I should check that out sometime. But yeah, I'll be back in 15 minutes. Oi. Okay. All right. Hey, I'm on time. Sweet. Oh, they're still not done their game, Bret. All right. So what did I miss in chat? Let's see. I think that's what's good. In pretty much every game, America. Okay, yeah. In pretty much every game in the world, there's different metas. Yeah. There's always a bit of RNG. And you know, the meta has a huge impact on how on which builds you should be running. Just because you're trying to counter what people most often take. You would love to know their opinion on, for example, the greenskin matchup and Grom. You want to know if Korea figured something out good in the matchup? Or if there's no way? I think for the most prominent things, I think the meta is fairly similar around the world. So I would suspect with Grom, there probably aren't too many counters. Unless they figured something super hidden that we don't know about. Like maybe the Gallows Giant is amazing versus Grom, right? Look at this guy. Fire damage, melee, armor piercing against Grom. He's hitting for like 1,000 damage. Think about it. That's not terrible. I was thinking myself I could try a Gallows Giant against Grom. And honestly, I could set up a custom match right now and try it out. Let's see, Gallows Giant against Grom. Test number 1. So of course it's probably gonna get shot up by archers a lot, but I think it'll still be a good test. Alright, so here we go. Can it kill Grom? Place your bets, people. Now if only he could get into melee against Grom, indeed. It's more of a late game scenario than anything else. Of course you could position the Gallows Giant to deal with him, but initial volley misses on the charge. And let's see how it goes. So far, trading decently well. Does take a bit of damage, but yeah, it looks like it's fairly effective. So it's not bad. I would rate it as very not bad. Of course, Grom will be regenerating, and the Gallows Giant will be shooting archers, but you know, it's not terrible. You only watch the Chinese game due to them being advertised in the World Cup Discord. Oh, I see. It was being streamed on the Chinese Twitch website. Okay. You have no idea how to actually use it, yeah. It's sort of weird, the whole workaround with the whole government business there. I tried to stay away from political stuff, but yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, Gallows Giant, not bad against Grom. Strangely decent is how I would rate it. You know, use it to rout off archers too. So like, you know, if greenskins have a bunch of Savage Orc Archer boys, you hit them with the Gallows Giant, huge debuff. Then you run in with your, with your deck droppers, and then you just get them all routed off quick and easy. Of course, you still have skirmishers to worry about, as always, and I'm still not sure what the best way of killing skirmishers is. Deck droppers are surprisingly bad at killing greenskin skirmishers. Daka line could murder that thing. Yeah, it needs support. So with the working greenskin build, Let's take a look. Vampire Coast versus Greenskins. Nope, that's a Silastra build. Let's see, where's the new one? Here we go. So with this build, if I wanted to, I could cut out some Sirens and a unit of zombies to add in the Necrofex. Oh man, but losing the Sirens is really rough. Alternatively, I'd be cutting out zombies, but then my front line's gonna collapse. I'm not sure. Like, at 2,000 gold, the Necrofex Colossus is really expensive. I guess I wouldn't really need Araness Assault Spite. So I'd probably cut her. Go for a Vampire Lord on the Mount Polearm for his anti-large. Actually, that's honestly pretty tempting. Like, look at this. You take the Polearm Lord. You give him the usual abilities with the Helm of Discord too. Makes him really scary with Grom. You'll have a much harder time diving in on top of him. And then I only need to cut a tiny bit to fit in the thing. Yeah, the Gallows Giant. Let's see. I still need to cut a tiny bit more though, unfortunately. I could change one of the deck dropper bombers, but that always hurts a time. That always hurts. But like something like this feels like it could work. Because now the Greenskin ranged firepower is going to be shut down with all of these guys. Skirmishers pushed away by Sirens. And then I just rely on my bombers to do the work. You know, put the pole arms like so. And it's not bad. Let's see. It's not as wide as the other build, which scares me a little bit. But I'll save it, and I might use this one. Let's see. AVP versus Greenskin. New Flying 2. There we go. So the usual counters for this style that you see are Spirit Leeches on the bats. That's pretty scary. And archers can really mess up the Gallows Giant if you're not careful. But I think they'll be a bit busy given how many bats there are. Even if there are a couple skirmishers, I should be able to go pretty wide. And I might even be able to win the frontline fight depending on how loose they go with it. Having the extra bombers would work out quite well. So I'm feeling like a medium confidence with this build. I do really like the Gallows Giant against Greenskins though. It's just so good at routing them off. Like, what's this? Fear, Terror, and -8 leadership. So they'll be routing off at 20 leadership easily if they get hit by this thing. Not bad at all. Yeah. The frontline fight should be okay. Yeah, I like this build. I like it. Now, yeah, so we just wait for our opponent still. I guess, I don't know. You guys have questions? Now is the time to ask. I can only fill time for so much. We even took a 15-minute break. But, you know, with tournaments, usually you will see one of the lines taking a while to finish up. And, you know, it's better that we're here waiting than just having been taken out of the tournament. So that's a plus. Man, I can't wait to test out these new coast builds against Greenskins. That should be pretty exciting. I know Alfredino runs a pretty scary Greenskin build against my coast. He's been able to win that matchup a couple times. It sort of flip-flops both ways. It feels like it's sort of 50-50 who comes out on top there. So I'm excited to test that out. Whew. Oh, so Rome Total War, guys. Being yeah, Rome Total War. How do you guys feel about that? Honestly, I was pretty hyped about it, but right now it's I'm not as excited for it as I would have initially thought. Just the I don't know. Something about Rome. Just I feel like Warhammer is just it's just too much. It's like the first Dark Souls game you play. You know, the first one is always the most special, and everything after that just feels samey and not as good. You always have tons of questions, but when someone asks, if you have questions, you never have any. Or the pressure is on, man. Pressure is on. Well, hopefully you remember them. Even if mid-game, I might still be able to catch it. That should work out. Whew. But yeah, I'm excited to see whether or not Han, the Chinese player, manages to beat Hadri's. If he does, well, that's terrifying. Because I regard Hadri's as either an equal player or a player better than myself. It's been a while since we really played a ton of games, but sometimes he'll win, sometimes I'll win. And if this guy beats Hadri's, well, that's a bad sign for sure. Why do people complain about greenskins but not lizardmen? It feels like they are both close to the same power level to you. In general, lizardmen do pretty well. I think the main problem is that people are just seeing greenskins more often. Yeah, people generally people don't like it when the meta stagnates. So when you have to play against greenskins all the time, you generally get pretty bored of it, at least most people. And a lot of matchups tend to ban lizardmen. Like Bretonia, you'll ban lizardmen. A lot of the elves will ban lizardmen and take their bets against greenskins. It's just that greenskins is always the third best counter in a lot of situations. Because if they were really a problem, people would just ban them all the time. And then it wouldn't be too bad. It would just be a first pick, which is not nearly as terrible, as you do have a fairly nice selection of options to face up against them. Loopy coming in with, what is life? Well, well, that actually, I think my definition of life can get pretty contentious, but I think it's pretty easy when you see it. I will say though, I think it's, you know, life is much better defined by what isn't life. Like if you look at a rock, you can pretty definitively say that the rock is not alive. Although some people will say that, but I think most people would agree on that. You can agree on what is dead. It's pretty clear when something is dead. And then from there, everything else you can start classifying as life. I don't know, is a star alive? I think depending on your definition, what you want to get at. Anyways, this is a Warhammer stream. Not a philosophy one. Only Warhammer 3 has the potential to sate your thirst. Oh man. I'm so excited for that. Just because it'll shake up the meta like crazy. Campaign is going to be super fun. And Hadri's has defeated Han 2-0. So it looks like if we win this next one, I'm going to be playing against Hadri's. Now, formidable opponent, but it should be fun. In the World Cup, greenskin is played 100 more times than the second most played. I feel like percentages are a bit more important here. Here, I have the chart right here. Greenskins is played a total of 239 games, compared to the runner-up being the Lizardmen at 140. That means that the Greenskins they are played roughly, what's it? They're played not twice as many, but like, I don't know, like 70-ish% more than Lizardmen, which means that you're seeing them pretty often compared to other factions. And you know, people will get bored of that for sure. Not what is alive, what is life? Life is a collection of things that are alive. That is what life is. If you're asking what your life is, what is the meaning to life, it is to seek and create your own goals, of course. At least that's how I go about it. Or perhaps you're asking what is life as in how is life, in which case I would say generally pretty bad for a lot of people right now. The lockdown, not the greatest, so some answers to that might just be terrible when asked what is life. Beastmen would have a 50% win rate if you hadn't picked them in World Cup. Oof, that's brutal, man. Don't gotta kick yourself that hard. Atlanticity, why do you think Coast is so low on the picks? I think the nerfs play a big part. In the popular game League of Legends, there was a pretty funny scenario where the mere act of saying that a champion had been nerfed actually decreased their win rate, when there was actually a bug which made it where there were no nerfs applied to them. And yeah, just saying in the patch notes that they got nerfed ended up lowering their win rate by like a significant amount. Sort of like a strange placebo effect going on. And I think with Vampire Coast, you have sort of a similar situation, on top of the fact that they did actually get nerfed. So I think given enough time, you would see that win rate climb back up slowly but surely. But anyways, you're saying why are they being picked so little? So I went the completely wrong direction there. I think they get picked very little because people, to get good value on Coast, it's sort of like the dwarves, right? You have two playstyles. You have one that can crush newer players pretty easily. Basically, you know, just artillery spam, very static style of play. And, you know, that's going to work and work and work until you start running into better players. In which case, you're going to be losing your games whenever you go for the classic defensive style of play. And also, this is something that I heard Day9 explaining a while ago, so I'm totally stealing from him. So yeah, like, people, they stick with a strategy that works, and early on it's a defensive strategy. And once you start playing against better players, they're gonna start crushing you because they know how to beat that type of play style. And the response to this for most people is, oh well, I'll change up my strategy then. And they can adopt more mobile styles of Coast, flying, air units, sirens, you know, using lords, Luther, creative builds. But because they're just experimenting and they're still playing against very good players, they will still lose with Vampire Coast because they haven't had the time to develop the skills with the very different type of Coast style that works, like Scurvy Dog play. Early on, you will develop basically none of that. And then I think that disheartening effect of it just not working will really dissuade a lot of people from playing Coast. As opposed to like a lot of other factions, like let's say Bretonia. If you go for cavalry builds early on, which is how you would usually play them, you just get better and better and you learn how to beat different players. There are no real gaps in your play style that you have to worry about. And that's my theory. Who knows if it's actually correct, but I don't know. An alternative is people also don't really like playing undead, I think. If you look at all the undead factions, let's see, Vampire counts at 72 and the Tomb Kings at 90, the most played undead faction. They do actually get played more than many of the other factions, so maybe not. Maybe it's not the undead thing. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But a lot of people have come to me and said that Vampire Coast is harder to play than you might expect. Because it is very different. I can be sure of that. And of course, given my own bias of playing them so long, it's hard to identify how hard they actually are to play. So we're still waiting on Peanut Butter and Migsa, by the way. They are in a vicious duel to the death. Both of them on the verge of defeating each other, but just not being able to finish their opponent off. It's been like a solid hour or something, but perhaps, I think it's been less than an hour, but nevertheless, hopefully it gets ended soon. And then I can move on to face up against Hadri's, which, fingers crossed, I'll be able to defeat. See, I wonder what Hadris has been playing recently. I know he likes his Dark Elves. He plays a bit of Vampire Coast too, which would be really interesting if he decides to go for Coast. I'm not sure how much Greenskins he plays. Of course, Skaven, always a scary pick against me. And I think early on, it's pretty likely that we'll be seeing a Skaven pick into my Coast. I would put that at like a 30% chance of happening. But maybe not. It really depends on how difficult he thinks the matchup is. Why do you think the Empire win rate is so low despite them being picked third most? I guess Empire just has a lot of appeal. People really like playing them. And the win rate is only, it's 46%, which is close enough to even a lot of the time. Like 9 times out of 10, it will be 50-50. And only 1 time out of 10 will an extra match be lost on the Empire side. Or is it out of 20? I think it might be out of 20. But like, yeah, if you play 20 games as Empire and you win 19 of them, no, and you win 9 of them and lose 11, it doesn't feel that bad. And given that they have a lot of appeal, a lot of play styles, they don't get counterpicked very easily. There's a lot of people that like them. Yeah, 45 is not that low. It's like a pretty good win rate. Anything like 40 and below or 60 and higher, I'm a bit worried. If you look at Greenskins too, 55% win rate or 56% win rate. It's actually sort of the opposite of Empire. But yeah, Empire is the first pick faction. Yeah, if you really want to focus on a single faction, Empire is a really good one to hunker down on. $45 is not so bad for a first pick. Yeah, I can see that. Not a lot of people counterpick with Empire, actually. But I'm not sure how much the first pick and second pick actually affect win rates, though. I'd be really interested to see that. Like, this data is good, but they could really go deeper on it. Why is the Chaos win rate so high? Let's see, what is it? 56% win rate. I think... I'm not sure. Let's see, how many people are playing Chaos? A good number, so it's not... It can't just be Chaos mains carrying the banner. The Chaos win rate is probably high because... I don't know, it could be just because people are counter-picking with them and doing well. Chaos is a common counter to Bretonia, even. And a lot of elf factions, sometimes people will take Chaos too, but I think most often you see them against Bretonia, Tomb Kings, stuff like that. And Bretonia and Tomb Kings are picked fairly often, so there's a theory. How is 33 for a counter pick faction? Are you talking about the dwarves? Poor dwarves at 33%. I think the dwarves, I'm I'm not sure what's going on with the dwarves there. You would expect counterpick factions to have a higher win rate. Especially if they're usually not banned. The thing about dwarves though is that they usually are banned, which means that if someone doesn't ban dwarves, they're very familiar in that matchup. So I think it might have been a few baits going on there, but it's still 53 matches. It can't all be baited dwarf counterpicks. Chaos is good and a solid counterpick IMO. Yeah, they're pretty good. They actually do quite well against the elves, with their skirmishers being generally cheaper and their infantry winning most fights. Of course, silver shields too play a pretty large part there. And counterpick factions are advantaged. I would assume so, but we can't confirm that just because of the lack of data. It's always very important not to draw conclusions from data, but we can hypothesize. Boy. Had a game yesterday as High Elves vs Chaos, and Sigvald got over 6,300 value. That is insane. How did he do that? What, did he kill like a dragon or something? Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I can't imagine a situation where Sigvald would get so much value. Because even in a late game situation, there's just not enough left for him to get that much damage. So I'm assuming early on you had him snipe out a bunch of lords or something. There was probably healing involved too, if I had to hazard a guess. But man, that is crazy. The highest I've seen on a lot of lords, it usually caps out at 4,000. I rarely see anything more than that. Let's see. He soloed the entire army, I think. I guess. Even then, you know, you have a lot of them routing off. Like, he doesn't have that much DPS. He basically would have to be fighting for the entire game and killing pretty high priority targets. Did like someone surround him with dragon princes and then he killed them? Killing regenerating units give infinite value too. It does increase your value by a lot. So that's why I'm assuming there was like a dragon or something that got healed. His whole army was off the field or dead. He 1v600. All right. Well, there you go. Still, that's pretty crazy. Like, cycle charging should really kill him at that point, but that's not always possible against Sigvald. He is quite a beast. In fact, a lot of people say that he should be nerfed. I think I wouldn't mind seeing him nerfed, but that would really impact Chaos, who already, you know, you don't see Chaos that often in tournaments or anything. So I feel like having a strong lord like Sigvald really really helps him out. So even though I think Sigvald is strong, I think you sort of need him there just to carry the Chaos banner. HW streamed it. It took me 10 minutes to beat him. Oh boy. Let's see, this is a separate game. Nope, he was the only one left and killed your entire army on his own. Jeez. Sigvald hates elves for having better hair than him. Do they though? Do they actually? Like, he's pretty magnificent. Oh, he has charge defense against all. That, yeah, that is true. And they changed it so it works in combat, right? I think they did. One very important thing about Sigvald is that he doesn't get knocked over very easily. So cycle charges will actually, you'll be taking a few hits from him. It's pretty brutal. So you really need a pretty crazy advantage. Vampire Coast has a hard time versus him too. But if you have 2 units of deck dropper handguns picking away at him, you can win it. As we saw in the faction war that I participated in recently. Alright. So I'm like 100% sure this match between Peanut Butter Special and Migsa has gone to a best to the ace match. Cause it's taken a while. Perfect Vigor OP. Perfect Vigor does help him a lot. It's very thematic though. It's very thematic. It also depends on your definition of OP. So yeah. Usually my definition is I would call something OP if I think it needs a nerf to increase the balance of different faction matchups. So a lot of people say compare lords between the same faction. So they're like, Grom is OP because, you know, Azag and all the other greenskin lords aren't as good. What I'm more worried about, I like having factions being like different matchups being more even, which is why I'm usually more okay about lords and so on being stronger than the rest. Like greenskin goblin fanatics that are unbreakable for a really low price. As long as the other matchups play out fine, I think it's okay. You think all foot legendary lords should have perfect vigor? Tretch, Vlad, Grimgor. Yeah. I think that would help a lot for them. But like the thematics though, you lose out on Sigvald being that lord with perfect vigor. Just perfect follower of Slanesh. I think flavor wise it helps a lot. There are definitely ways to deal with Sigvald, but High Elves doesn't have many great options. I think so. You can't yeah. You really just need a way of dueling him. I wonder if Imrik can kill him. Imrik is pretty beastly. And Sigvald without his buffs is definitely a lot more vulnerable. And there we go. Oh my gosh, guys. We're against Migsa. The long wait is over. Let's go ahead and change the name. Migsa. There we go. The score is 0-0. All right. All right, here we go. So yeah, we're going to play out the games, save the replays, send them to my son, Herbert Walker, and then be done with the tournament today. It's been a long one, but pretty fun. A lot of close matches. Grimgor needs some love if Sigvald is that good. Well, Grimgor is pretty beastly. The main problem with him is that he sometimes doesn't find a fight. And he also gets overshadowed by a lot of other greenskin lords. I think if you took Grom out of the picture, you know, Grimgor, you might see him every once in a while. So cool. Let's see. What do we got? Migsa's picking first. So we wait and see what they pick and go in for a counter. Oh boy. Thank you for the good luck. Oh man, if I can get a 2-0 victory, that'll be clean. And then a best of 5 against Hadries. Now let's see. I think my chances against Hadries are decent. I'm not sure. He was training a while back, quite a bit, so he could be pretty beastly right now. I'm excited. It's gonna be a greenskin pick, banning the Coast and the Tomb Kings, and we're playing on Prague. All right. Where is it at? Where is it at? Prague. The map is set. All right. Migsa has to set the map. Okay. You'll have to... Oh, I assume he's doing that right now. He banned Coast and the Tomb Kings, which means the counts are available, and he actually let the Lizardmen open. I'm going to go Lizardmen, because this is actually a matchup that I am much more comfortable with. And I expect this one should be a fun one. Lizardmen are pretty advantaged versus greenskins. So I'm excited to see how it plays out, especially since Migsa is intentionally, presumably intentionally, leaving it open. Remember to set... Oh, there we go. He set the map. I don't need to remind him. There we go. Alright, so Lizardmen versus the greenskins. Ever the scary opponent, but with Lizardmen, you definitely have a few options here. You can go for a huge single entity force. You can go for a kite style of build against the greenskins. Alternatively, you could go for a defensive one with solar engines. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. So I'll just set up my army and we'll see how it plays out. I'm excited to see what Migsa decides to bring, though, as you know, the greenskins, they do have options. Although most of the builds are pretty standard at this point. All right. So just finishing up my army. Let's see, how do I feel about these guys? Yeah, I'll take that. And then a single one of these. And I believe I basically have my build. I only have 135 gold left. Lizardman is always a bit weird in terms of gold spending. You can never get a clean spend on them once you get down to 100 gold. It always gets a little bit awkward for sure. Let's see, what if I do this? Mobility is so important in strategy games. Footlords are hard to be competitive in some matchups. Yeah, what happens to Footlords is that they just get ignored. They really don't have they don't pressure your opponent a lot in their surrounding area, which is why stuff like Skarsnik with the 50-meter fermented fungi is actually used more often, because he's a Footlord that can impact an area around him. He can zone out targets and actually be a lot more useful. So yeah, I think sort of working with that methodology could really bring the bring up certain lords and heroes for sure. Yeah. All right, so there we go. He's ready. Just double checking to make sure this build is legal. And it is. Let's see. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Yes, it's legal. But yeah, you need lords that can actually do things. Like maybe Ungrim Iron Fist. He should have some way of catching monstrous units, for example, in a small radius. You know, maybe like if there is a monstrous unit within 50 feet of him, he gains 1,000,000 mass. He can push through units to fight the monster that he wants to. Something like that would really... It would really elevate some of the Footlords for sure. But as of right now, they sort of just act as a non-threat in many situations, except for Sigvald, who can carry out games on his own in the late game. Now, for the build, I'm going for a skirmish, sort of kitey style of build. This is my favorite playstyle against the greenskins. And, you know, I use a Carnosaur on one flank, cavalry on the other, and my skirmishers are basically not going to get caught. Mazdamundi has his nets to really punish the greenskins. And I have a solar engine too to pick away at their forces as they come in. Plus, it's added blinding effect is really good if you want to make sure that the greenskins don't surround your Mazdamundi with trolls. By blinding their units, it will really help in any late game engagements. And that's gonna be it. Just a ton of range units. So good luck, have fun, ready. And the army size for the greenskins, it's fairly large, so this game could be quite a while. And yeah, I'm really going to want to land some good nets with Mazdamundi. Skirmishers can be a bit of a problem here, but if you net them down and banishment plus ruination of cities, it's pretty rough for them to deal with. So diving on into the game, we're seeing 2 orc shamans. That's very interesting. Brain bursts on a different spell. Good amount of cavalry, a couple big guns, which is really good against my build, and a few archers. So honestly, nothing especially scary here. And I can just begin the kite. The solar engine will be picking away at the big guns. I want to save its ammunition, just be very careful with what I'm actually targeting it with. And then we'll use the cavalry to pull the greenskins apart. Let's move up with the skinks, cycle charge with my Carnosaur and Mazdamundi 2. Solar engine hits the Carnosaur. Classic solar engine play. Very often it will friendly fire your own troops, and that's just something that happens sometimes. We will still be able to live fairly well though, as most of these spider skirmishers will lose their respective fights. Mazdamundi sort of just retreating, getting into a better position. And let's see, the solar engine is still doing well. I'm avoiding this mainline engagement, as I definitely don't want to be fighting the greenskins just yet. Some huge fanatic bombs do drop on my forces too, but so far I've done a decent job taking out a lot of their more mobile elements. Most of their skirmishers have now fallen, and that is huge for me, as in the late game I'll really be able to secure an advantage through that. As for these stone trolls, they're in a very precarious situation, as Mazdamundi with his buffs will be able to shut them down. These archers are really no problem. They are just goblin archers in this case. So yeah, with just a ruination of cities, they're already routing off. Stone trolls 2 are getting shut down. That's very good. And the solar engine is still online and operational, which should help me out quite a bit. Now the solar engine, it is going to get compromised by a couple of orc big guns here. I want to pull that into a safer position. And as for the kite game, things are still going fairly well. Some of these goblins are getting a bit of value, but my single entities are at such a strong advantage right now. I'm feeling quite confident about the current state of things. The Carnosaur is still healthy too. I just need to make sure that this group of stone trolls doesn't cause too many issues. As for the goblin archers, they are moving up, and I'll need Mazdamundi to take care of them here. We'll throw down a banishment to use my ranged superiority to kill off these stone trolls, and bring in the Carnosaur to help Mazdamundi too. The solar engine will help a lot for routing off the stone trolls, and then Mazdamundi will be able to finish the job essentially. Although, you know, this fight with Grom, I don't really want to take it with Grom. That's actually a little bit scary. So I'm going to unrampage the Carnosaur and just disengage from this fight. This isn't one that I want to take. And with a net on top of Grom and the trolls, I shouldn't be experiencing too many difficulties here. So we'll just continue running away. And using the solar engine as effectively as I can. Let's see here. Grom is chasing Mazdamundi, and that's a little bit scary, as I don't have much support here to really help him out. My Carnosaur needs to move into support too, and we'll see how well Grom does against Mazdamundi. It's going to be a little bit of a close fight, but I think in theory I should be trading up there. As for my skinks, they're doing okay, and honestly, you know what? I'm going to have to disengage with Mazdamundi here and just use the Carnosaur to win out my engagements. The greenskins are starting to come out on top, which is pretty scary. And just the fact that he's been able to catch out my single entities here has been really bad. However, if I do manage to rout off most of these trolls, that puts me in a really good position. As the trolls, they do get routed off for a second time. However, my Carnosaur rampages for another time. And that's definitely very bad. This positioning too is going to be really rough, and I may even lose the Carnosaur. That's a little bit of a misplay on my part. And oh man, I don't have a way to remove the rampage, although I did have a skink that could have saved it, but I didn't save it fast enough, and that's going to be really rough as I lose out on the Carnosaur. So that's definitely really bad. Let's get Mazdamundi to hit up the archers now, as they're getting in a lot of damage. And then we'll use our skinks to chase off the trolls. I think right now the biggest issue is that I didn't really deal with the trolls especially well here. And now Grom is able to chase down Mazdamundi. I've lost my Carnosaur, which was my main option against Grom. And now it's just gonna have to be the skirmishers instead, which definitely not the best tool to deal with Grom, as they mostly rely on slowly picking him apart. Still though, Mazdamundi, he will be able to heal himself up and hopefully get a decent fight against Grom. I have buffs to throw down, and Grom no longer has a stone troll support, which means Mazdamundi can dive right on in and hopefully get that fight won. The stone trolls are getting chased off, but it looks like one of them might get saved by the skirmishers, and that could possibly cause me the game here. Grom in a pretty nice position to dodge the solar engine. I'm going to maneuver my units so that the solar engine can get a better shot on him. It misses, but still, this could go well as long as Mazdamundi actually wins the fight. There are no stone trolls to support, and Grom will be taking a good amount of damage himself. Solar engine now getting compromised a bit, but Grom has taken a lot of damage. That's very good for me. And Mazdamundi's just going to focus on chasing him down now. The solar engine will be pretty punishing against most of these forces. And my chameleon skinks are still chasing off trolls, which is exactly what I want. Mazdamundi, he'll throw another heal on top of himself to keep him in the fight. And with Grom really low on HP now, I think I might be able to get a pretty cool comeback here. However, Mazdamundi, his leadership is on the verge of breaking, but miraculously, he routs off Grom. Oh my goodness, what an absolute beast Mazdamundi is. And now it's just about finishing him off. That is extremely important here. And if I can chase him down, the stone trolls are going to be routing off the map. So chameleon skinks, basically everything is on Grom hunting duty. The solar engine too will be getting into position. And all the stone trolls are really just too far away to support. Solar engine is going to be lining up its shots. And the balance of power has swung hugely in my favor. Grom takes a huge shot to the back. And the shaman is now routed off. And we're seeing now just one bad engagement up against the lizardmen, and things can go really, really badly here. Now it looks like Grom will be able to rally. That's pretty unfortunate, and I'm gonna have to change my game plan a bit here. I can't chase him down forever, sadly. So the solar engine will be keeping him away, and I'm going to now rout off these stone trolls as well as I can. These skink skirmishers will be doing a really good job too at keeping everything at bay. And they still have pretty good ammunition also, so I think I should be fine, as now the solar engine will be picking off stone trolls, and Grom can't take a straight up fight against Mazdamundi. One shot onto the trolls, looks like it takes out a model. That's very good. And my skinks are firing away. A few forest goblin spider riders moving into position. Not particularly scary, as I do have Mazdamundi nearby. And the stone trolls, one of them does get shattered. That is huge for me. Mazdamundi charging into the spiders, but Grom is too far away to offer his assistance. So these guys will be getting terror routed pretty quickly. The solar engine, if it can get one shot onto these trolls, they may even rout off too. And man, look at that leadership fall. Absolutely amazing. Next up is the orc shaman and the rest of these goblin fanatics. Looks like he's desperately trying to get Grom into position to save these stone trolls. But it's going to be a bit of a difficult task for sure. The solar engine, with one more shot left, will be firing away at the stone trolls. It lands, it hits, but their leadership stays. It's going to be a little bit scary. Let's see, my chameleon skinks are firing away, getting in some good damage. But Mazdamundi with another heal on top of himself now is going to be, that's going to be absolutely huge for him. As he'll be getting, he'll be healing much like Grom during these late stages of the game. I'm going to dive him in directly onto these stone trolls early to get their leadership broken. If I can terror out them now, that would be super good. The solar engine will be diving in towards Grom. And we're seeing the stone trolls, you know, they do manage to stick together. They don't rout off yet, but now the terror route kicks in before Grom can help them out. And he's going to be getting picked away by the chameleon skinks now. With their very high ammunition, it looks like that's going to be game. As there we go, Grom getting just murdered by Mazdamundi in the mid game. Although, you know, things are still getting a little bit close. Let's go ahead and pull Mazdamundi for a big charge on Grom. And then, let's see if I can help him out a tiny bit with the solar engine. Mazdamundi's actually taking a lot of damage here. And, you know, it's not over yet. Mazdamundi actually, oh my gosh. I said Grom was gonna be killed here, but it looks like Mazdamundi's actually going down. Oh my gosh, Grom with the counter coming on in. Now finishing off Mazdamundi. It's just the two skink chiefs now up against Grom plus the solar engine. So that's pretty scary. Skink chiefs though, still pretty scary. Mazdamundi's gonna be dying soon though. There's barely any infantry left on both sides. And Mazdamundi goes down! Oh boy, how's the ammunition on these skink chiefs? It's honestly not great, but Grom doesn't have his buffs. And they still have decent ammunition. They may still be able to pick them out. And plus the terror routes is going to be absolutely huge here. The skink chiefs give leadership also to many of these forces. And it's just going to be hoping that they're able to provide that. I really need to make sure that none of these guys get routed off. The chameleon skinks, they get close to routing. And it looks like, oh boy, they're really close to routing. Grom with the cycle charges. He slams into one of the skinks. I need the Bastiladon to shut down Grom at this point. But, oh boy, I don't know if I can kill him. Bastiladon is not the strongest target against Grom. He pulls away, and there's still a lot of infantry left for the greenskins. He slams into the skink, getting into pretty good damage, but the Bastiladon now diving in. Hits Grom, gets in a solid hit, but will it win? Grom in the midst of the fight. Let's see if I can get this skink chief to land a hit. Bastiladon will continue chasing Grom, and if its leadership is wavering, of course I can use the skink chief to buff it up a bit. I'm using the Bastiladon just to chase down Grom. It lands a hit, and he's on the verge of routing. If I can get a terror route on him, that would be absolutely huge, but my skink chief is on the verge of routing himself. And I just need to chase down Grom. I'm ignoring the rest of the troops and focusing on him, as he is going straight for my other skink chief. We'll turn off fire at will, charge directly towards him, and see if the skink chief and Bastiladon combo are enough to actually finish him off here. He's dodging, trying to avoid any shots from the skink chief. That's good play. But it's gonna be a close one for sure. He finishes chasing off my skink, which means I only have a 1 unit of infantry left. And oh boy, we'll have to see how this goes. He's keeping distance away from the Bastiladon. He's buying time for cooldowns and looking to get an engage with the goblins instead. I'll fire the last shot. It misses, sails directly over Grom's head. And it looks like that's likely gonna be it if he gets his cooldowns back. But I can prevent him from cycle charging by routing off these goblins. So that's huge. Grom moves into attack, and now we'll see if he has time for those cooldowns. He throws down a buff, and I have 2 single entities here, but they are poisoned. Grom is poisoned too, and this is it. I have 20 seconds before a buff from the skink chief. Of course, terror routing the goblins is big, but his leadership is holding fairly well. I have a few of my own skinks moving in now, But the Bastiladon's about to rout. Come on, don't you dare rout. Don't you dare rout. I'm gonna hit up the goblins, they rout. That's a huge help for the Bastiladon. But it breaks. Oh my gosh, it breaks. And that's gonna be game. Oh my goodness. So close. So close, but in the end, he barely manages to kill off Mazdamundi with his handful of buffs. And that's gonna be it. Oh my gosh. He broke the attacking rule? I don't think he did. I think we played, we did it about how you would expect it. All right, there we go. I saved the replay in an auto save, so let me just rename that real quick. Ent versus Mig 1. GG, well played. Very, very close game in the end, though. I think my build needed more cavalry. If I had more like Cold One Riders, it probably would have gone a lot better for me. And huge misplay on the Carnosaur. I totally could have saved it. And in the end, that was what my downfall was. Otherwise, it would have been a really easy win. GG. All right, nice. So now we're on to game 2. Very scary, as I'm playing Coast, and a hard enough counter could really ruin my day here. So I'll go VP on Eschen. I think is the next best map. Yeah. Ban the what's it? Ban the dwarves and the wood elves. Classic picks. And let's see how this goes. Yeah, there weren't any rule breaks there. Grom was going for the King Chief, indeed. Yeah. Plus, he doesn't need to engage with his lord, because if you're attacking with your infantry, that is perfectly legal. Still though, oh my gosh, I can't believe I threw away the Carnosaur. I could have removed its rampage, but I totally forgot that the Skinks could remove it. And that really bit me in the butt. Now I'm gonna go get water real quick, just so that I don't get dehydrated, and then we'll jump into the next game. Okay, and we're back. We're back. What's it gonna be? Okay, he's thinking about his options. We're definitely on the back foot, though. Oh man, Mazdamundi late game dying to Grom. That was super unfortunate. I turned him around too. I had a minor micro mistake, making it so Mazdamundi couldn't hit Grom back. Just, oh my goodness. Just a couple tiny mistakes. Both sides, though. It was a really fun game. It kept flip-flopping between both sides. So Migza trying to figure out what to pick against the Coast. He's thinking hard, which is a good sign for me. Presumably not Empire. Maybe not High Elves either. Or Counts, if that's not part of his pool. So hopefully we can get a clean win here and then get the victory in the best of 3. But he's thinking. He's thinking. Aha! And he goes for Skaven. All right, now that's a fun one. I have a preset build here that I think should do okay. Yeah, I feel pretty nice about this build. Skaven. They are a little bit scary. They have many tools to kill off scurvy dogs. And in some cases, it can even win the ranged fight. So I'm interested to see what Migsa decides to bring here. But I think I basically have a build ready at this point. And then I need to start figuring out what my pick 3 is gonna be. Should be nice because I don't have to worry about greenskins anymore. So that's definitely a plus. Alrighty, solar engine, 99% accurate, shooting your own dinosaurs. Yeah. Oh man, solar engines is so janky. I'm not sure what does it, but I don't know. I feel like their shots should really go through trees though. Like watching a huge solar engine shot getting stopped by like a puny twig sticking out of the ground. That just doesn't sit right with how the animation looks. Because usually it's wider than the tree it's being stopped by. Alright. Cool. So Migs is setting up some sort of Skaven build. I'm excited to see what it is. Skaven, they do have quite a lot of different... they have quite a lot of builds as of late, but since the Brood Horror nerf, we've really seen Skaven getting picked a lot less. In fact, the win rate right now is sitting at 50%, which is generally, that seems pretty low for how often people were playing them earlier. Now it's just like you barely see Skaven at all. It's not like Brood Horrors were nerfed that badly either. Of course, the Skaven Slave nerf is a bit painful for many Skaven players, but I don't think it's enough to take them out of the meta. They're still definitely a faction to be feared for sure. But here we go, Migsa is ready. And we'll see if my build has what it takes to defeat the nasty Skaven. Ooh. So let's see if it works. We have a decent map for the build that I'm going right now. I'm actually going for a sort of like a rush build against Skaven. I have the flying deck droppers. These guys are great for killing off Brood Horrors, which would usually be the counter to my Leviathans, but anything that counters the Leviathans will really die quickly to all of these deck droppers. And anything that yeah, well, basically that. Anything that dies, anything that kills my Leviathans will die to the deck droppers, and then the Leviathans will counter everything else. It's pretty straightforward strategy. In fact, I will literally be just marching my army straight forwards and just trying to get engages on. It's really important that these guys dive into the back line though, if you want to successfully win it out here. So good luck, have fun, ready? Let's see if Migs has what it takes here. His army is relatively large, so there could be quite a bit of infantry, which is good for me because these bombers are great against infantry. So yeah, hopefully I'll get some terror routes too, and then I'll be good to go. Worst case scenario though is if I misplay and he kills off Silostra. That would be terrible. The drop off of Skaven players seems quite large since the nerf. Yeah, you almost never see them anymore. It's very unfortunate. Now the game, he has 3 Doomflayers. Wow. Now that seems pretty overkill. And that's going to be eating up most of his army, which means not too many gutter runners. And mostly this is going to be it. So the Skaven Slave Slingers are not particularly scary. And then my flying deck droppers will just march right on in and start running over some, start killing off some Doomflayers. My Scurvy Dogs are gonna ride right on top of these Skaven Slaves, and I just have to worry about Snicketch and a possible assassination attempt onto my forces. But that's essentially the biggest worry for me, and honestly that's not too bad. Now the scurvy dogs, they dive right on in onto these Skaven slaves. They're going to disengage immediately, and now that the ranged core is disabled, I can focus more on these Doomflayers and the lords and heroes for the Skaven. In fact, with the Snicketch sort of coming on in, I'm going to fly in with my deck droppers and see if I can finish him off. My bombers have cleared out the infantry extremely quickly, and now I'll move in with my knights, use the bats to kill off Snicketch, and it really shouldn't be any problem at all. In fact, I'll have them charge the rat ogres because Silastra fairly safe, and Snicketch, he's going to be taking a lot of damage. Not to mention I have scurvy dogs here too. But as I say that, you know, Silastra, she does start getting a little bit of heat, and I'm going to need to pull her into a safer place for sure. Let's go ahead and get those bats in to finish off Snicketch. And after he's gone, it doesn't even matter if I lose Silastra, so that's why it's so important. And yeah, it looks like she's in a fairly safe place now. The sniping continuing to go down on Snicketch. She's taking a good amount of damage. And I still have a Leviathan at the ready, so I'm feeling decently safe here. Although Snicketch, he is trying to force path his way through, trying to jump onto Silastra, but not before he takes an insane amount of damage from these pistol bats. And the pistol bats really do specialize in killing off these characters like this. Basically the worst fear of the Skaven, getting your lords sniped like this. It's gonna be really, really rough. I have another Leviathan too, and as long as these Doomflayers don't cause too many issues, I think I'll be perfectly fine for the rest of the match. Scurvy dogs just running cleanup. I think it should be a fairly straightforward game, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, as overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. So let's use Silastra to kill off the Doomflayers. Snicketch will be going down in just a second. That's going to be a huge leadership debuff for the Skaven, so I need my bats to actually come back and start killing off the rat ogres now. Silastra's still in a fairly good situation though. Snicketch, he does rally, surprisingly enough. He'll still be dying though, so that's fine. And with the leadership debuff going on over here, I'm expecting a big rout from the Skaven. If it doesn't happen, I think I should still be okay, but we'll have to see. Silastra's taking a lot of damage from these from the rat ogres, which is not great. Snicketch has just barely managed to stay alive for quite some time, and I'm a little bit worried about Silastra's health at the moment. Of course, I still have the rotting Leviathan and scurvy dogs at the ready, but like if I can't kill Snicketch anytime soon, it starts getting a little bit awkward. Silastra, she's now fighting against the assassin. The gunbats don't really need to focus that. Instead, they're going to go for the rat ogres, as they are much easier to rout. And Snicketch finally falling. Jeez, what an effort. But now that he's down, I'm going to be seeing a lot of terror routs here. Very good for me, as of course the wolf rats can do cleanup now. Silastra will be going down, unfortunately, but she has served her purpose as a major disruption tool. And I just need to finish everything off with these pistol bats now, as the rotting Leviathan will be providing most of the terror in this situation. Now the assassin's not particularly scary. I will be finishing him off and then using the Leviathan to kill off this caster over here. A few of the Doomflayers do manage to rally, which is a little bit awkward for me. Of course, I can still shoot them down with my gun bats. And you know what, that's probably going to be the goal here. I could shoot the assassin, but the rotting Leviathan does so well against these Skaven heroes that I don't really need to worry about. Finishing them off. The Doomflayers are going to be a much more important target to finish, and once they're down, I should be good. I'm going to turn off fire at will. Got to conserve ammunition in these late game scenarios. And then it's just going to be regrouping on both sides. We have one side coming in with a couple Doomflayers, a Plague Priest, and an Assassin against a Rotting Leviathan and a million deck droppers. It seems like it could be a bit scary on the coast side, but this Rotting Leviathan here is going to be more than enough to pull out a victory. The Doomflayers will be charging in towards my my bombers here. I'll just have them loose a final volley, basically just doing as much damage as they can, but I'm sort of sacrificing them so that I can save ammunition, as I feel that is going to be much more important heading on into the late game. Of course, I still need some single entities or some infantry to support the rest of my army, and I have a couple zombies here to do that. So the Doomflayer is gone at the cost of a unit of zombies. However, the Skaven, they don't have much infantry, so in theory I should be just fine here. I've lost my scurvy dogs, but I still have some ground forces, and now my bats are flying in. I'm killing off the Doomflayers first, because the Doomflayers are the main source of armor piercing for the Skaven. The Assassin has a pretty good armor piercing too, but he just doesn't do that much damage to a Rotting Leviathan, so he's not really scary. Of course, these Skaven Slave Slingers too could possibly kill off my bats, but their damage output is fairly low, so I think I should be just fine. All bats now firing in on the Doomflayers. Single volley doing decent damage. And immediately they get routed off. That is huge for me. And now my bats can start focusing down the Assassin now that the Doomflayers have been dealt with. The infantry just holding and distracting as much as they can. And with just some spread out pistol bats, there we go. The Assassin is now off the field. And after that, it's going to be the Plague Priest and army losses for the Skaven. Very, yeah. Pretty straightforward. I forgot to save the game again. I'll need to save that in my replays. Let's see. Ent verse Migsa 2. Alright. So the Doomflayers were an interesting choice, but the Pistol Bats actually did pretty good against them. Silostra, a beast against Skaven. Same with the Rotting Leviathan. They're just really hard to kill off. And from there, it's just a straightforward victory. I even had a few misplays here and there with my dogs, but in the end, it didn't matter much. Will he be able to kill the Leviathan with that build? Yeah, not really. Alright, GG. And we're on to the final ace match now. Okay, I'll need a sec for my pick 3. Alright, so of course a pick 3 situation. Always one that can take a little while to figure out. Because your 3 factions, they always tend to differ by the time you get to the end here. Let's see, if I do Wood Elf, Skaven, and Bretonia, how do I feel about that? Greenskins are out, and if I ban Bretonia, I feel like it's a pretty good lineup against Beastmen. Well, no one's really afraid of Beastmen. Let's see, against Bretonia themselves, I banned them. Against Dark Elves, I have Wood Elves and Bretonia. Dwarves, I have Wood Elves and Skaven. Empire, it's going to be even matchups all around. With maybe a Skaven versus Empire game, that could be a little bit scary. Let's see, Greenskins are out. High Elves, I'm okay against. Lizardmen. It's gonna be a little bit close. You know, I'm not sure how I feel about this lineup. I might change it a tiny bit. Let's see. I already played Lizardmen, so I can't include them in my lineup. Of course, I could throw in the Greenskins, ever a foreboding force. Let's see, you know what? I'm not sure how I feel about the Skaven pick here. They don't actually win me too many matchups. What if I do this? Wood Elves, Greenskin, and Bretonia. Beastmen, no problem. Let's see, the Bretonians is gonna be... What would be the Bretonian pick? Well, no, they're banned. Let's see, Dark Elves, I'm fine. Dwarves, I have Wood Elves and Greenskins. A Dwarf pick would actually be interesting, but Empire, I have Greenskins and Bretonia. That feels much more comfortable. I'm really tempted to go for Skaven still though, but I don't want to get caught up in a fight against Wood Elves against Lizardmen, as that's a matchup I'm just bad at. Alternatively, I ban Lizardmen like this, and then I just face Bretonians in a mirror match possibly, or as the Greenskins, which also feels okay. How about the High Elves? I'm fine. Norska? Yeah, I'm fine. Skaven, we're good. Tomb Kings, also good. Coast, of course, fine. Vampire Counts, I'm okay. Wood Elves and Chaos. Yeah, here we go. Here's a lineup. Here is a lineup. I'm interested to see how this plays out. Ban the Lizardmen, possibly the Greenskins here, but the Greenskins are out, and the map. I need to select a map. I forgot about that. Let's see. I need a map that is large. Eshin is out. Prague is out. Swamp of Terror. I do select the map, right? Winner picks some maps and 3 factions. Yes, okay. So maybe Altdorf Outskirts or Storm Demon, perhaps? Where is Storm Demon? I feel like I remember that one being pretty huge. Can I see Storm Demon? This is as good as you will get versus Lizardmen. Oh yeah, I guess the previous one had Skaven, but now that I've changed it, yeah, I need some way of killing the lizards. Yeah, Storm Demon looks good. Okay. Okay, I'll go with this map. All right. So we'll see. Wood Elves, Greenskins, and Betonia. I need a large map for the Wood Elves to have kiting potential, which is why I went for them. Whew, it's gonna be scary. And then if we win, we have to play against Hadries. Jeez. What a day. All right. And here we go. It's gonna be Bretonia. Ban the Greenskins. What was my lineup? It's a Bretonia matchup. Mirror. Beautiful. All right. All right. I'll go Bretonia. All right. Here we go. So this match is all about the cavalry control, guys. If you can micro your cavalry well enough, then you're set. But ooh, it's gonna be a bit of an interesting one. Now the builds don't vary much here. In fact, most of the time people don't go for Lewin because he will die to double paladin as soon as he lands, plus a surround from cavalry. So yeah, usually you won't see Lewin here. Instead, I'm expecting Enchantress double paladin on both sides, really. Okay, so let's take a look at this army lineup. Seems, yeah, this is about it. All right, on to one of the least complicated matchups, but it's very intensive on the micro front, so that should be fun. Let's see, I guess my army is ready. And then we'll just be diving right on in. I can't believe this is how it finishes, guys. A Bretonia mirror match. Oh boy. I'm really interested to see how Migsa plays this out, though. This is a matchup that some people actually practice quite a bit. So I'm interested to see how it goes. let's see. All right, so here we go. What I brought for today is a lot of cavalry. Most of it is going to be extremely elite. In fact, all of it is extremely elite. The main downside, trebuchets will be doing a lot of damage, but if I time my engagement well enough, the trebuchets shouldn't really be able to pay for themselves. I have spears to brace for charges so that my cavalry can get an advantage there. And of course, the usual Enchantress double paladin. Alright, and that's it. It's a very straightforward build. There's no archers or anything. It's all gonna come down to how well we secure these charges and whether or not the Enchantress can land this chalice of potions. The spears will help out here a lot. And it looks like the enemy troop count for my opponent, Migsa, is actually pretty high. So we could be seeing a lot of infantry here, which the Enchantress will be good at dealing with. And it does mean that my cavalry advantage should be pretty high. Good luck, have fun, ready? And then we'll be diving right on in, guys. Oh boy. Oh boy. You know it's serious when Bretonnian brings no archers, yeah. In this case, the map is so huge, I feel like that'd be a bit folly. And we do see quite a few archers here. Poison variant for Migsa. So the question is, can I punish that? The cavalry corps is questing knights and 1 Grail knight. So my cavalry is slightly more elite. I'll be trying to use that to my advantage. And my front line actually is fairly more elite. I can go pretty wide with my infantry to get a surround on these peasant bowmen. And then that'll be really good for me. So let's go ahead and spread my forces out. There are quite a few Bretonnian peasants here though on the flanks. But as long as I get a few spears into the mix, I think my cavalry engagement should go pretty well. So I'm just securing a nice surround over here to jump in onto the peasants. My cavalry just moving into position, same with my infantry. And then I'll be diving in. The goal is to shut down these archers. And with a nice flank, it should be possible. A couple peasants in the front. I will be able to send in my cavalry to dive in on top of them. Enchantress and Paladin are going up forwards, and here we go. I'm going to try taking the fight now. The archers are putting me on the timer, so I have to take the engagement smartly here. Yeah, and we'll see how that goes. Cycle charging abound begins now. I need to be hitting up as many infantry troops as I can to try and bust through. My spears are gonna brace. These knights, questing knights, are going to get charged by my cavalry, and that is a pretty nice win for me. Some of my units of cavalry now diving in. Enchantress double paladin moving into the left flank. I want to disengage before I take too much damage. Some more knights moving in. We're gonna pull back, try and secure that charge on this side. We've mucked them up with a couple peasants. That's as good as a fight as I could get. And now we're gonna see if I can win these cavalry fights. A few of them are going okay. A few of them are getting a bit sketchy, especially this one over here with the Enchantress support. I'm gonna pull out and use my infantry to help me out there, while looping around with my knights to try and win the fights. Over here, the cavalry fight has gone a little bit sketchy. And honestly, I'm a little bit worried about how this engagement is going. Enchantress double paladin really playing aggressively to shut down my cavalry is getting in a lot of damage, and these archers with their poison are going to be are causing a lot of issues too. So let's see how the fights are going in along the flanks. Not great. And honestly, the questing knights look like they may be able to pull through. I am still shutting down the peasants though, and that's going good for me. These knights on the right flank are doing well, but they're about to get overwhelmed. And we'll have to see. I think really my main advantage right now is my infantry advantage. I have a lot of peasants at the ready, but of course that's not the best advantage you want in a cavalry-based match. So we'll have to see. A few of these knights do pull back. I do get charged over here on the right flank, which is really bad. And we've sort of just been trading cavalry both ways. Let's go ahead and regroup with some of my forces, finish off the rest of these Bretonian peasants, and see if I can secure this right side engagement. These knights will be able to run over the archers, no problem. And as the game goes on, the vigor of my knights should be coming into play too. There's also potential for a really nice chalice of potions onto all this cavalry here. If they try to disengage, I will be able to get a pretty solid charge. And it looks like I do manage to hit, but the chalice of potion actually friendly firing a tiny bit. Definitely not something you want to be seeing. And now it's going to be one of the final engagements with the Fey Enchantress and the two paladins. Charging into the knights here. And we'll see how this big blob fight goes, but you know, there is going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot going for Migsa here, as they do have a few archers providing poison. The cavalry is sort of beat up on both sides, but it does look like he will be pulling an advantage. And that might do it unless I get a miraculous snipe on the Fey Enchantress here, which I am going hard for, as that could provide me a win condition that I am looking for. As for my knights, I have but a few knights left at this point, and oh boy, we'll have to see how it goes. One final heal coming in. I'm still trying to finish off the Fey Enchantress of Migsa, but it looks like it's not gonna be enough, as my own Fey Enchantress starts taking quite a bit of damage. She's gonna pull back to the safety of my paladins, but it looks like just going for the questing knights might have been the better idea here, as they actually did manage to trade pretty well into the Grail Knights. Of course, micro and getting the proper charges played a huge part. But with those peasant archers, I definitely had a pretty hard time getting the engagements I want. And that's gonna be it. Oh my goodness, the peasant archers coming in hot in the fight. GG. And that's gonna be it. Now, I do mention the peasant archers did well, but I do think a lot of that came down to some of the cavalry engagements. They were pretty messy on my part. And I think they could have, my cavalry could have traded a bit better here. Especially these two Grail Knights. They did pretty poorly compared to the questing Knights. And yeah, that's gonna be it. We're out of the tournament, out in the semifinals, but still a pretty good run. And it does mean I can finally go ahead and grab some food now. There we go. GG. I think I could have used my paladins too to help in these cavalry fights also, but nevertheless, I think Migsa played it very well. So GG. I have the replays should all be saved, and I'll be sending those out to my son HW in just a second. GG guys, have a wonderful day. And that's gonna be the stream for now, but of course I do plan to continue streaming some more tournament games in the future, and probably on YouTube too. Questing Knights have anti-large? No, I think it's just the Grail Knights. Questing Knights have AP.